Beloved, there is a time when the world is still, when the noise of life fades and the heavens lean closer to hear your whisper. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the spiritual realm becomes sensitive to the cries of those who seek divine help. This is not just another hour of the day. It is a sacred window of supernatural encounters. If you dare to rise in this moment to utter a prayer of faith, you will unlock blessings beyond what your mind can imagine. Are you ready to step into this secret place? There is a divine hour, a moment so sacred, so still, that even creation seems to pause. It is the time when the heavens bend low, when the unseen realm draws near, and the whispers of your soul are carried straight to the throne of God. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the world sleeps, but the spirit is awake. It is in this hour that the distractions of life are silenced, the atmosphere is clear, and your heart is most sensitive to divine instruction. Have you noticed that in the quiet darkness of early morning, your spirit feels a strange stirring? That gentle nudge that wakes you, it's not by accident. It's an invitation. When you rise in this moment, when you dare to open your mouth in prayer, the heavens respond differently. Why? Because this is the hour of watchfulness, the hour when spiritual gates are opened. Angels are released with assignments, and demonic forces are weakened, for they thrive in chaos. But in this stillness, their power is disrupted. When you speak a word in this sacred hour, it carries unusual weight. Your cry is not lost in the noise of the day, it ascends like incense in the cool of dawn. This is why breakthroughs happen for those who seek Him in this time. Women of destiny, understand this. Your prayer before the sun rises shifts what the day will bring. It sets the tone. It commands the morning. It declares the will of heaven on the earth. But here is the mystery. When you choose to ignore this call, you leave your day open to be shaped by circumstances and not by divine alignment. Do you want to live by chance, or do you want to live by purpose? Do you want to let the enemy write the script of your day, or will you rise and take authority before the first light? Oh, but there is more, because beyond the hour itself, there is something hidden in the way you pray, something that unlocks realms you've never touched before. Do you know what that is? Let's step deeper into the next revelation. Why does the early morning hold such power? Why is it that before the sun rises, before the world awakens, heaven seems closer? My friend, the hours before dawn are not ordinary. They are strategic. It is the time when the spiritual realm is most active, when the veil between the seen and unseen is thinner. The early morning carries a mystery. It is the womb of the day. What you speak into it, what you declare in faith, begins to shape everything that will follow. This is why kings, prophets, and women of great faith have always understood the value of meeting God in the quietness before the day begins. When you rise between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are not just waking up, you are stepping into a divine appointment. You are choosing to align your spirit with God's plan before the enemy plants seeds of distraction. At this hour, there is no competition for your attention, no rush of demands, no noise of the world pulling you away. It's just you, the stillness, and the presence of the one who created you. Just imagine what happens when your voice is the first sound that fills your home, when your prayer becomes the first decree over your children, your family, your future. You are commanding the morning to obey the will of heaven. But there's more. The early morning is not just quiet, it is prophetic. In those hours, your mind is clearer, your heart is more sensitive, and your spirit is more open to hear divine secrets. Answers that seemed hidden in the busyness of the day suddenly become clear in the silence of dawn. Dreams you had in the night are interpreted, visions become instructions, and peace begins to settle in your soul. The early morning holds keys to wisdom that you will not find in the noise of the afternoon. But listen carefully, because simply waking up is not enough. There is a way to posture yourself, a way to pray that opens doors no man can shut. Are you ready to discover how a secret prayer in this sacred time can release supernatural breakthroughs? Then prepare your heart, because the next revelation will unlock what many have overlooked for years. There is a hidden realm, a place beyond what your natural eyes can see, where decisions are made before they manifest on earth. Prayer is the key that unlocks that realm. But listen carefully. Not all prayer carries the same weight. There are prayers that touch the surface, and there are prayers that pierce through the unseen and change the course of your destiny. When you pray in the sacred hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are not just speaking words into the air. You are activating spiritual laws that release divine intervention. This is the moment when secret battles are won, while others sleep. While the enemy schemes in darkness, you rise with authority and disrupt every plan assigned against you. The hidden realm responds to the voice of faith spoken in the quiet of dawn. You may not see it immediately, but angels are dispatched, chains are broken, and doors swing open in the spiritual before they ever open in the physical. You imagine that? A single prayer whispered in faith can rewrite an entire day, an entire season of your life. Now, here is the mystery. When you unlock this realm through prayer, you begin to see beyond the natural. Suddenly, you discern things you couldn't understand before. You begin to feel a shift inside you, as if heaven itself is partnering with your words. It's in these moments that divine strategies are revealed, that hidden wisdom is poured into your spirit. That's why your prayer must not be mechanical, it must be intentional, full of faith, full of expectation, because what you release in that time sets things in motion that even the enemy cannot reverse. But there's something even greater, because prayer is not just about asking, it's about aligning. It's about coming into agreement with what heaven has already ordained. When you learn to pray like this, you don't just change situations, you transform your entire atmosphere. But wait, if prayer unlocks realms, what happens when the atmosphere itself begins to shift in your favor? What happens when angels are most active on your behalf? Oh, there's a deeper secret waiting for you. Let's move into the next revelation and uncover what happens in that very hour. Have you ever noticed the stillness before sunrise? The world is silent, the streets are empty, even the air feels different. It is as if creation itself is holding its breath, waiting for the first light to break. That silence is not empty. It is filled with presence, a presence that is more tangible in the early morning than any other time. In that sacred quiet, distractions lose their power. The noise of yesterday cannot reach you, and the demands of today have not yet begun. This is why the silence before sunrise is so powerful. It creates a holy space where your spirit can truly connect with the voice of God. When you enter that silence, you begin to hear whispers you couldn't hear before. You begin to sense instructions that were hidden in the busyness of the day. The stillness becomes a sanctuary where your soul can be washed, renewed, strengthened. It is in the quiet moments that revelation flows. It is in the soft darkness that clarity comes. Have you ever wondered why the enemy fights your sleep? Or why your body resists waking at this hour? Because he knows the power of that silence. He knows that if you can quiet your heart and listen in those hours, you will receive secrets that cannot be stolen. In the silence before sunrise, your words carry more weight. A single prayer, whispered in faith, echoes louder in the spiritual realm than hours of distracted prayer in the middle of the day. And here is the mystery. Sometimes you don't even need many words. Sometimes just sitting in that silence, acknowledging His presence, opens doors you didn't even know were locked. But what happens after you've entered that silence? What happens when the stillness awakens movement in the unseen? Something begins to shift in the atmosphere itself. Forces beyond your sight begin to respond, and help you cannot explain starts moving toward you. Do you know who is most active in this sacred hour? Let's uncover this deeper truth in the next revelation. In the early hours of the morning, when the world is asleep and the darkness still lingers, there is movement in the unseen. This is the time when angels are most active on your behalf. They are not idle beings. They are messengers, warriors, and servants assigned to carry out divine instructions. But here is the mystery. They respond to the voice of faith. They move at the command of God's word spoken through your mouth. When you pray between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are not just releasing words, you are giving heavenly beings assignments. You are activating supernatural help that goes before you. Picture this. While others are lost in deep sleep, you are speaking life over your day, and angels are dispatched to clear paths, to open doors, to protect your steps. They go ahead of you into meetings you haven't attended yet. They surround your children before harm can even approach. They war against forces you cannot see, dismantling plans that were meant to delay or destroy you. Can you imagine that every time you rise early in prayer, heaven literally mobilizes resources in your favor? But it doesn't stop there. Angels are not only protectors, they are carriers of answers. Many times, the solutions you've been waiting for are released through their hands. They bring clarity to confusion. They bring provision where there was lack. They bring strength when you are weak. And in those sacred hours, they are most attentive because heaven itself is wide awake. That's why your prayer at dawn is not just another prayer. It's a divine partnership. Now think of this. If angels are most active in that hour, then surely the forces of darkness also rise to oppose what is being released. There is always resistance to what heaven wants to give you. But here is the good news. When you rise early and speak, you have already set the victory in motion before the enemy even knows how to fight. But what about the alignment of the spiritual realm itself? What about the unseen shifts that determine how your day unfolds, your week unfolds, even your future? Oh, there's an even greater mystery waiting. Let's step into the next revelation and see how the entire atmosphere aligns when you pray in this sacred time. There are moments in life when everything seems out of order, when things feel scattered, delayed, or misaligned, but there is a time when the spiritual realm shifts, when divine order begins to take shape, and that time is the sacred hour before the break of day. When you rise between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you are not only praying, you are aligning yourself with heaven's perfect timing. You are stepping into the rhythm of God's will, and in that alignment, everything else begins to fall into place. You see, the spiritual realm governs the physical realm. What happens in the unseen determines what manifests in your life. And in the early morning, the spiritual atmosphere is more open, more sensitive, more ready to respond. When you speak in faith at this time, you are not fighting against the noise of the day. You are speaking into a clear, uncluttered atmosphere. Your words create order. Your declarations release balance. And your faith sets the tone for everything that will follow. Have you ever noticed how a single moment with God in the morning can change the entire flow of your day? Suddenly, what felt heavy becomes light. What seemed confusing becomes clear, and what was delayed begins to move forward. That is alignment. It is like tuning an instrument before playing a song. Once you are in tune with heaven, the melody of your life begins to sound right. Your relationships shift, your thoughts align, even your steps are guided differently. But alignment is not just about you. When you pray in these hours, you are aligning your household, your family, your business, your future with divine order. You are bringing everything under the covering of heaven before the enemy has a chance to sow chaos. It is like planting seeds of peace, favor, and breakthrough before the sun even rises. But what happens after you've aligned yourself? What happens when the heavens have heard, the angels have moved, and the atmosphere has shifted? Something begins to come back to you, something you've been longing for without even realizing it. Let's step deeper into the next revelation and see what the stillness of dawn begins to release into your life. There is a reason why answers often come in the quiet moments, why clarity suddenly floods your heart when the world is still. In the early hours of the morning between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the noise of life has not yet taken over. Your mind is rested, your spirit is more open, and the atmosphere is uncluttered. It is in this sacred stillness that you begin to receive what was hidden. Prayers that felt unanswered suddenly make sense. Dreams you couldn't understand the night before begin to carry meaning. Directions you were seeking are whispered to your spirit in ways you cannot explain. When you pray in this time, you are not just speaking to God, you are also creating space for Him to speak back. And when He speaks, He doesn't only give you comfort, He gives you instructions. He reveals secrets that guide your next steps. The answers don't always come in thunder or in great signs. Sometimes they come as a gentle thought, a sudden idea, a peace that confirms the path you should take. Have you ever woken up with a solution you didn't have the night before? That's because the stillness of dawn allows heaven's wisdom to flow freely. But it's more than answers for your personal needs. In these early morning moments, your spiritual ears are sharper. You begin to discern what is really happening around you. You sense danger before it comes. You feel prompted to pray for someone without knowing why. You are connected in a way that cannot happen when your mind is cluttered with the day's distractions. This is why those who learn the discipline of early morning prayer often walk with a calmness and confidence others can't explain. They are living on divine insight. And yet, even as answers begin to flow, something greater begins to stir. Because it is not just about what you hear or what you receive, there is a deeper transaction taking place in these hours. Something that doesn't just touch your mind, but transforms your entire atmosphere. Do you know what that is? Oh, let's go one step further and uncover how this sacred time births supernatural breakthroughs you cannot contain. Breakthroughs don't just happen by accident. They are birthed in moments of intentional prayer, in the secret place, in the stillness before the dawn. When you rise between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. and pour out your heart, you are sowing into the unseen. You are planting seeds that will manifest in the natural. This is the hour when heaven responds with power. It's when barriers begin to crumble, when delays are reversed, when doors that were once closed begin to swing wide open. And it doesn't always happen in loud, dramatic ways. Sometimes the breakthrough starts as a shift within you. A new strength rises. A new boldness appears. A new peace covers you like a shield. In these sacred moments, you're not just asking for things. You are aligning yourself with what has already been written about your life. And when you align, breakthroughs become inevitable. Chains that held you for years suddenly lose their grip. Generational cycles that limited your family begin to break. Resources that were hidden start to find their way to you. Opportunities begin to chase you instead of you chasing them. There is an unlocking of favor that cannot be explained by human logic. And people around you will start to notice that something about you has changed, something they cannot quite put into words. But remember this: breakthroughs are not just about receiving, they are also about becoming. In those early morning prayers, you are transformed. You begin to think differently, speak differently, move differently. You become the kind of person who carries the atmosphere of victory everywhere you go. You become a living testimony that God is still faithful to those who seek Him in the secret place. So what will you do with this revelation? Will you continue to sleep through the hour when heaven is moving? Or will you rise and take your place? The choice is always yours. Beloved, the secret is not in the length of the prayer, but in the heart behind it. The secret is not in the noise, but in the alignment. Rise when the world is still. Whisper your faith when no one is watching. Command your morning before it commands you. And watch how your life, your family, your destiny begins to shift. The heavens are waiting. The question is, will you answer the call?